Hello, beautiful people. You are listening to the Communal Table podcast, part of Food and Wine Pro. I'm your host, Kat Kinsman, senior editor at Food and Wine. And if this sounds different than previous podcasts, other than the ones we've been doing in the past week, it's because I am practicing social distancing and recording this from my apartment in Brooklyn. Lucky enough to be able to continue to have these conversations with people who frankly are going through the toughest fight of their lives as as pertains to their business and the people who they care for. And today I was lucky enough to have some time with Angie Mar of the Beatrice Inn in New York City's West Village. She is a Food and Wine Best New Chef, and over the past bunch of years, she has become a really dear friend of mine. And if you haven't been to the Beatrice Inn before, it is a place of luxury, and it is an escape from everyday life in good times. It is pricey, yes, unapologetically so, but there is a reason for that. From everything from the quality of ingredients that she sources to the incredible skill of the people who make the food in the restaurant, to just everything is so thoughtful and deliberate, and she has created a place where it is not just about what's on the plate, though what is on the plate is really incredible, luxurious, and meaningful. It is that, but it is so much more, because she has this place that is mostly underground. It's a classic space that has been a restaurant for many, many years, and she worked there as the chef under Graydon Carter's era, and then she was able to buy the place and really make it her own. And it is a place of celebration, of luxury, of just forgetting the world outside for a while. And then all of that had to change very, very suddenly due to the outbreak of coronavirus and all the regulations, the necessary regulations that the New York City government has put in place, where restaurants can only offer delivery or curbside service. Angie really had to stop and reckon for a moment, longer than a moment, about what she had to do in order to still be able to pay the people who work for her, as many of them as she could, still be able to maintain the integrity of her vision of the kind of food that she serves, but have to scale it down from. She is known for incredibly flamboyant food, tableside flambe, and all of these kinds of dishes that are epic and celebratory and chronicled in her book Butcher and Beast. And she had to figure out how to make this pivot that so many people are making across the country. A lot of restaurants have always offered delivery or takeout. Beatrice Inn is not one of them. Neither is Alinea or Vespertine or any of these places that are known for the experiential. And so to take sort of the feeling, the ethos, the quality of that, and turn it into something that people could order online or call and get and have delivered was a thought process for her. But she is an endlessly creative person who figured out a way that she could do this, and is taking the money from it to be able to pay the people who are working there with her side by side. She's had to just pivot in a whole lot of ways, while every restaurateur I know is going through a really difficult time right now for a whole lot of reasons. And as you'll hear us discuss in the episode, they're also processing grief right now for what the world that existed, the world that they came up in, the reasons that they decided to be chefs and restaurateurs and servers and bartenders. That is gone for now. And it is never coming back in the same way. It will come back in some way. I firmly and fully believe in hospitality people and what drives them, and their level of commitment to feeding other people. And I have to believe that this will come back in some form, with some governmental assistance, ideally, and we talk about that in the podcast. But it's okay right now to understand this as grief for a way of life that is no more, at least for right now. And Angie had a lot of thoughts about that, about smart business pivots, and how she is taking care of herself and her team right now. Angie, hey.
Hey, Kat.
Oh my gosh. So you just had to change rooms because your team is getting ready for service right now in a very different way than you have done at the Beatrice Inn before.
Yeah, it's talk about a 180, right?
Yeah.
It's insane. I got back from London about a week and a half ago now, and I landed back to New York, and it was like just finding, a city that's completely in disarray. And we made the decision on Saturday night that we would close our doors just because we needed to, do our part in order to help curb the spread of coronavirus. And, lo and behold, Sunday night, as we all know, the governor shut down all restaurants and bars. Really, you're talking about overnight. I think the restaurant industry, in New York City alone, represents 250,000 jobs.
Mm-hmm.
And overnight, you're looking at 250,000 people that are out of work. And, as you know, this is an industry that does not, we don't have, 3 months of operating capital in the bank somewhere, and just as business owners, it's very far and few between that that's the case. And conversely, when you look at restaurant workers, you're talking about a demographic of people who are pretty much living paycheck to paycheck.
Yeah.
And many of which don't qualify for unemployment. And so, that's really where we're at right now. I'm really thankful. I did MSNBC on Friday.
Good.
And, sales tax was due that day. And I think we've all, just as an industry, been imploring government to suspend sales tax, which was due on Friday, because a lot of us were put in a position to where we had to choose between paying our taxes on time and paying our employees.
Yeah.
And thankfully Governor Cuomo suspended sales tax, which is fantastic, but it's not enough. It's not enough. We need more support. A lot of us are dealing with still having to pay our rent, even though we have non-operational businesses. And a lot of us are, just struggling to find a way to, to keep as many people working as we possibly can, which is why we decided that we had to do this pivot. We had to do takeout service because it's, I'm never going to be able to pay my rent doing takeout. I'm never going to be able to, to pay my bills doing takeout. But if I can provide jobs for as many of my employees as humanly possible, I will continue to do this until I run out of money.
I mean, you are a person who, we've been friends for a while, and I have seen you as a person who you lead with mentorship. You are a leader. You are a person who is hyper sensitive to the needs of the people who are on your team. I have been there during lineup before, where it's not just like, hey, what are specials tonight? It's it's education. It's it's focus on the humanity of the whole thing, and also for people who are not familiar with the Beatrice Inn, which, by the way, for which Angie Mar was one of our best new chefs, and is a vital part of the Food and Wine Best New Chef family. It's a luxurious place. It's this wonderful, legendary escape from the world outside, and it's luxe, and it's gorgeous, and it's over the top, and it's a place where you go there to be, because you have set up this atmosphere of just revelry, and the food is so wonderful, and it's just part of the formula of this. So for you, this is why it really strikes with me the fact that you are doing takeout, that Alinea is doing takeout, that Vespertine is doing takeout, all these places where the experiential is so key. Can you talk about how you decided how to reformat your menu to do this and still maintain who you are?
Yeah, it's really, really tough right now because there's, I think I'm still trying to figure it out, because I have made my career thus far on, being outside of the box, being not for everybody, and, being this person who's going to do, like a respect for fine dining, but at the same time we break all the rules, right?
Yeah.
And
no utensils sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes. But, this restaurant is, known to be luxurious and gluttonous. And, so I am now trying to figure out, what my new normal is, right? Because, we are in a really scary time right now. And, for us, it is, I think, now is not the time for fine dining. Now is the time for family. Now is the time for comfort. Now is the time for us to stand together even while we are distanced. And, if I'm almost going back to, what my father would have cooked for me, what I would have cooked for my family. And for me, that is so important, because I think that's what everybody needs right now. We need a little bit of comfort. We need a little bit of hope. And, if I can provide that to people, just even, via takeout or, via caviar delivery, I want to do it, because that's what we really need right now. And for me, like I said, this is, I've come to the realization where it's look, we will be lucky to cover our costs. We're going to be lucky to cover our costs. But, this is, I view this as, there's times to make money, and this is not one of those times.
Yeah.
This is a time to just be here for the community, the restaurant community, to provide jobs. It's time to be here for the community, the West Village that has been so amazing to me for the last 7 years, for me to be able to feed people in my community. That's what this is for, and we all have to step up. We all have to play our part. And, like I said, I will be so, so grateful if we can cover our costs. And, and if I can't, I will continue to do this until this business runs out of money, because it's the right thing to do.
Yeah.
And it's crazy, Kat, because we just started this on Friday, and it's Monday right now, and I've been here since the morning, and I've been accepting deliveries and washing kale and making chicken pie for tonight, and it was crazy, because we did this on Friday and Saturday, and it was our first 2 days, and we sold out of everything in the walk-in. And it's really crazy, because you've known me pretty much almost my whole career, and this is a time where I went home on Saturday, and I was exhausted, because we were here, we're working 18, 20-hour days right now, and just to try and get all this stuff going. And, I went home on Saturday and I was exhausted, and I have honestly never felt so rewarded.
Yeah. Oh, good.
As Saturday.
Yeah.
And it's a really crazy feeling because, you know, I should be like freaking out, or I should be like so upset because, like, you know, like the future of my business is completely unknown right now. We don't know if we're going to make it. We don't know if we're going to go under. But what I do know is that I left this restaurant on Saturday knowing that we made the right choice.
Yeah.
And that is what's so important.
I mean, I remember, you know, when I first met you, I had, you know, I was sitting with Douglas, my husband, who you know very well, at the bar, and you know, I had a drink in there once before, and I came in there, like, we were thinking, oh, where can we eat in the neighborhood? We were seeing a play, and I mean, not only were we knocked out by the food, the bar staff kept talking about, oh my gosh, chef, like they were, you know, speaking of you with such love, and I was thinking, I need to know who this chef person was, and then I saw you, you know, come out of the kitchen, and I was like, oh my gosh, first of all, didn't know it was a woman, like incredibly stunning woman, and like I already fell in love with you vicariously through your food and the way your team was talking about you, but then getting to know you as a person has been, you know, such a great thing. But like it's always stuck with me that you know, the first thing I heard about you was your team talking about what a leader you are. And because I know you as such a skilled leader, what would you say to other leaders in this business right now who don't know how to, you know, message this to their staff who are, you know, under tremendous stress themselves? Like how are you communicating this? What advice would you give to people who are in charge of a team in these times of uncertainty?
Yeah. You know, it's really scary, and I'm not going to for 1 second sit here and tell you that I wasn't scared, that I'm not scared right now.
Yeah.
And I think it starts with, first of all, admitting that, you know, I mean, I got back from Europe and put myself into quarantine for a week just because I needed to make sure that I wasn't putting anybody else in danger. And, you know, it was probably the most depressing week of my life because I'm not used to not being around people. I'm not used to not being in the kitchen. I'm not used to, sitting home all day. And, you know, just that alone can drive somebody mad, right?
Right.
And, toward the end of the week, I was like, okay, you know, I said what I always say, which is failure is not an option.
Yeah.
Like, failure is not an option. And if this is what we are faced with, if we are faced with, social distancing and the shuttering of restaurants across the city, except for, certain takeout and delivery, and that's all we're able to do. Well, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to make it work. I'm going to make it work, and I'm going to make it work to the best of my abilities. And I think that, there is always opportunity in every situation. And I think that, if we as business owners and as leaders can see that opportunity, be flexible, and, it's not going to look like what we thought it was going to look like, right?
Right.
And, the world has changed, and we have to change with it. We have to, do what we need to do to survive. And just because it doesn't look like what we originally thought it was going to look like doesn't mean we stop creating.
Yeah.
We have to continue to innovate. We have to continue to create. And we have to continue to do our part in what's right for our cities, for humanity, for our industry, for ourselves. And I take solace in that because it's a very, very scary time for all of us right now. No one is going to deny that. But just knowing that I'm going to be here with my team, that I'm doing the right thing for them, that I'm providing as many jobs as I can, and knowing that that I'm going to continue to create, even if it's not what I originally thought it looked like.
Yeah.
That gives me some solace. right?
Yeah.
Because it's when we stop creating. I know that for me personally, it's like when I stop creating, that's the day that I'm just going to hang it up, Kat.
Yeah.
The day that I accept that I cannot create anything, that is the day that I will hang it up, because I don't accept that. I don't accept that. We have to keep on innovating.
I mean, and
especially right now.
The podcast that I recorded earlier with Steve Palmer, I was closing it out with a note saying, this knowledge, this skill, all of this doesn't go away. Chefs are still chefs, bartenders are still bartenders, servers are still servers, and you have that ability. And even if, people can't, cook in a restaurant right now, or can't be behind a bar and can't be doing that thing that drives them every day, that doesn't mean they're not still that thing. And I feel like I've talked to a lot of people over the past couple weeks who were saying that all of this has made them reevaluate like what is really truly important to them, like what actually matters. And and also talking with, I had shared this bit from my therapist on Twitter about it's okay to process this stuff as grief. Like if you feel yourself feeling all the emotions.
This is grief, though.
Yeah.
This is grief. Life as we all know it has changed. And I went through, this, like I lost my father 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And, and I went, I still grieve his loss. And, when I got back from Europe and I was in my house for a week, I started feeling all of those feelings again. And I realized that I was going through a loss, because it felt like I was losing my restaurant. It felt like I was losing my team. It felt like I was losing my sense of self, right?
Yeah.
And that, I think we are all feeling that on so many different levels. And it's okay to feel that, and we need to feel these things, right? But that's what I'm saying, is that out of that, once I recognized that I was grieving, I was like, okay, I'm grieving. I understand it. I've lost the restaurant that, I've spent so many years building. So what is left of it, and how can we still share it with people?
Yeah.
And that's why we're doing what we're doing.
Yeah. And I think you're doing in such a beautiful way. And, on your socials and stuff, you've been centering your staff, which I think is, a thing I've always seen you do. And it's a really important thing. I want to ask you, when is the last time that you got proper sleep? How are you taking care of yourself?
Well, we were closed Sunday because, as you know, I will never open on a Sunday. It's like against my every fiber of my being. So I definitely used all day yesterday to sleep. I was back in the kitchen this morning at 8 a.m. And I think this is what life is going to look like for a while. And I'd say, like, it's, I'm absolutely no stranger to hard work, and this is some of the hardest I've worked in my entire career.
Yeah.
Because I don't have a prep team right now, and I was in here on Friday and Saturday with 3 other people, and, just trying to crank out as much food as we could, and, it takes me back to my early days working for Andrew Tarlow.
Yeah.
Definitely, it definitely does that. But look, it's what doesn't kill us makes us stronger, and I know for a fact that we're doing this for the right cause.
Yeah. This is a silly question, but I'm asking it of you because I'm sort of asking it of me as well. I'm still trying to put on my eyeliner and perfume so I feel like myself.
Yes, we have to.
Yeah. I mean, because we're both people who have, pretty solid visual identities. And I realized I was feeling like a rat because I was just, not putting on proper clothes. And, I left my house to take the dog for a walk and my hair was just sort of random. And you and I are both people who have, looks that for me, it's my armor, having eyeliner and my,
eyeliner, lipstick, hair.
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
So are you still putting on your basically like war paint right now?
Yes.
Good.
Absolutely.
Because you're Angie freaking Mar.
I contoured my face this morning.
Yes.
The whole thing. Like, you have to keep doing it. I mean, I need every step, as much normalcy as I can absolutely muster. I have to. Like, I had to make sure that, before I got back into the kitchen on Friday, I had to make sure my hair was dyed.
I completely understand. And this also makes me extra grateful for your book, Butcher and Beast, because it is a document of this time before. And it is one of the most real, poignant, perfect documents of restaurant culture, up until a few weeks ago. And I sort of feel like right now you are writing the next chapter of what that's going to be. And I can't encourage people enough to, I know money's tight for everybody and everybody's being careful, but like this book is, I think it's a really good manifesto for people to have right now of what the industry is capable of, and to just remember why. I mean, so much of it is about why you do what you do.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, we, so much of that book, it's crazy to think, because it came out in October and then, the world started to change in December and who knows what the world's going to be like as we come out of this. I don't know if it'll ever be like that again. So I'm glad that we documented it. But so one of the things that I am doing, so we actually have a employee relief fund that we've set up for our employees here. And it's a GoFundMe, and it's for the employees at Beatrice, and 100% of all of the donations are going to them. And then also to, because I've been getting so many amazing emails and calls and, just people that don't even live in New York who are like, how can we help your employees? And, so we're like gift cards on our website, and this employee relief fund for the GoFundMe is so amazing. And I know that all of them are going to be so grateful. And anything people can give is fantastic. And also to the book sales off of our website, the BeatriceInn.com. All of the book sales that are coming from that website, 25% of the net profits are going directly to the GoFundMe for our employees for the relief fund as well.
That is so wonderful, because Amazon is overrun right now and stuff. So I love the notion of being able to put that directly toward you and your people.
Yeah, no, it's what, I have like a certain amount of books in the restaurant, and if we can sell them and direct the funds to our team, that's absolutely what we want to do. Because, look, these guys have been here, they're the ones, everybody always comes into this restaurant, and, I'll go, as I go, like, walk around the dining room and say hello to as many guests as I possibly can every single night. And, they always thank me for what we do here. And my answer is always the same. It is not me. It is not me anymore. I am not in the kitchen every day. I want to be in the kitchen every day, but I'm not. I'm like running a business, right? And it is the people who are on the floor, who are in the kitchen, who are in the back of the house. It's the dishwashers. It's all of those guys. They're the ones that they should thank, not me. And, if there's anything that we can do to help them and help them support their families, especially in this time, that's what we want to do.
Yeah, everyone go to the beatriceinn.com and, get a gift card, get a shirt, get a book,
Yeah.
or donate to the cause, because really one of life's truly great pleasures is sitting there, especially at that bar, and eating Angie's food, talking with the bartenders, having those incredible cocktails. And I want everybody to be able to experience that and get to meet the team who make up the Beatrice and keep them going to the future. So people, please go to that link and just, check it out. Even just send I've been talking to people saying even just sending an email to restaurants and saying like, hey, we're thinking about you, is a really lovely thing to do.
Yeah. Yeah, I have to tell you, like, on Thursday was the day before we opened up for our first day of takeout. On Thursday, I was sitting in my office and I was trying to get everything organized for, to do takeout. And I got a call from Hunter Lewis.
Yep.
And he, just hearing his voice and just the fact that he picked up the phone and called me and, just asked how I was doing and asked if there was anything he could do. Like, I've the restaurant community and the industries that surround it, it's probably one of the most generous communities ever. And, I am just so grateful to Food and Wine for always just being there. Well, especially right now, in our time of need. And I can't thank you guys enough. Like, I really, really can't. It's, you guys have given restaurants and restaurateurs and chefs a platform, to talk about what is happening right now and the things that we need. And we should probably touch on that too, Kat, I think that, this restaurant industry is in dire need of help.
Yes.
And if government does not step in, when we come out of this, we will only see restaurant chains. We will not see individual restaurateurs. We will not see, all of the things that you mentioned that are, creative and amazing about spaces like the Beatrice Inn. These restaurants will disappear if the government does not step in.
SaveRestaurants.co is if folks don't know about this yet, is the Independent Restaurant Coalition, and it is a lobbying group recently formed that is backed by some of the biggest players in the industry. I mean, it's funny, you think about people like Danny Meyer. He's still an independent restaurateur. You think about some of these giant hospitality groups. They're still not those big chains that are across the country. These are, it's everything from a chef-owned restaurant to places that have multiple locations, but it's still, unless people speak up right now on behalf of restaurants and by participating in campaigns like SaveRestaurants.co and some of the other things that are floating around. There'll be links in this podcast. They're gonna lose all their neighborhood operators, and it's only going to be big corporate things, which do, they serve their need, but it's not the totality of what hospitality can be. So I really urge people to, go to those resources and call all of your elected officials and, bombard them until they...
Absolutely. I mean, look, I was on MSNBC the other day and we were talking about this, and what I think people don't realize is that restaurants and bars represent $310 billion in employee compensation.
Wow.
A year.
Yeah.
And, we've got the government right now talking about airline bailouts. Well, I'm sorry, but that represents $59 billion, in employee compensation. And those that you're talking about, big business companies. $310 billion for the restaurant industry. And that is what we're talking about. We're talking about 15 million jobs nationwide. And that is why I think it is so important now more than ever that the government steps in. Because, what a lot of people don't realize is, they're like, oh, yeah, but you've got business interruption insurance. business interruption insurance is not covering this pandemic. They are refusing to pay the policies because they're not. Does not constitute as a business interruption to them, and this is a huge problem because we all I mean, I think we always talk about the insurance companies. It's like, okay, well, they're gonna any way they possibly can get out of paying, they will, and this is a huge problem. So, I mean, I think we're looking at something like $250 million is going to be lost in the next 2 months if we're not able to reopen. And, it's going to take the economy years and years to recover. Government has to step in. Insurance companies must be made to pay. And, and we have to do something to help independent restaurateurs.
Yeah. And we'll have all of the links along with this podcast and to our Food and Wine Pro coverage as well, and also to the Beatrice Inn, which you should support in any way you can. Thank you so much to Angie Mar for taking the time to be with us today. I will include all of the links to the Beatrice Inn and to Angie Mar's social handles in the podcast notes. I also really want to encourage people to visit saverestaurants.co. It's a really, it's a new lobbying effort to help independent restaurants get through this and get money to the workers who have been laid off, who are a vital part of this way of life that we have. And I'll include any other resources that we talked about. And again, I want to touch back on grief. If you are experiencing that, again, please know that it's normal, but if it is feeling outside the bounds of what you can currently deal with, there are resources available to you. Frontline of Defense crisis text line, text it at text any word to them, but home is the one recommended, but you can really text any word to 741-741. That is all together. It's 741 twice, and you'll be connected with a person who will text you back and get you from they like to say a hot moment to a cool calm. I can't say enough good things about the service. I have been one of the crisis counselors there before, and they're there with you. They'll stay with you as long as you need and get you to a better place. Everybody is dealing with a lot of overwhelm right now, and the best thing we can do is all take care of one another. I also want to thank our producers, Hallie Tarpley, Margot Gotthelf, and Jennifer Martnick for really figuring out how to get this podcast out into the world and produce it on the fly in less than ideal circumstances from their own homes. And thank you to Sarah Crowder for always getting great images for us as well and operating on the fly and taking so much on. If if any of this is useful to you, these are the conversations that we're having all the time on Food and Wine Pro, which is part of Food and Wine. It's Food and Wine's platform for talking to people in the industry. It's existed for over a year now, and we've always talked about kind of the business and caretaking of people in the industry. And over the past couple of weeks, we've been sharing a lot of resources and first-person stories about what is actually going on out there, how people are coping with it, and ways that they can get help, and ways that regular diners can help the people and the industry that they care about so much. You can go to foodandwine.com/FWPro. And also, I'd encourage you to sign up for the Food and Wine Pro newsletter, which is written by our editor-in-chief, Hunter Lewis, and it goes out on Fridays, usually, if we're not in the middle of a crazy crisis. We do still send it out. It just might be a little bit later than usual. But if you go to that page, there will be all kinds of sign-up links, and it includes the most recent news and always the latest podcast and a mantra from our associate food editor, Kelsey Youngman, who is a certified meditation instructor, and she keeps us all grounded on the team as we have our Monday morning meetings. She offers grounding thought for the week, and she has been of special comfort this week. So please sign up for that. And also, if this podcast has been of any use to you, please share it with a friend or leave ratings and reviews on Apple Podcasts or wherever it is that you get your podcast, because that allows us to, bust through the algorithm and keep doing this work that we all really love, and getting to have conversations with important people who are out there doing the work to keep everybody safe. Have you stopped and taken a breath today? Or are you sitting there with your jaw clenched and your shoulders up and picking at your skin? Maybe I'm just talking about me. But on Twitter, where I am with @kittenwithawhip, I send out periodic reminders to people to unclench their jaw, drop their shoulders, soften their muscles, take in a deep breath, stop picking or biting at their skin, and just take that moment to have 3 deep breaths and ground yourself a little bit. It's not going to solve what is happening out there in the world, but it will make you better equipped to deal with it for the long haul. And really, I encourage you, check in with other people, either for their benefit or for yours or for both. That human connection is so incredibly important. And most importantly of all, take good care of yourself. Until the next time.